Like a lot of people out there, I was very hyped for this game when I first seen it like years ago. So when the demo dropped, I naturally dropped everything I was doing, jumped on it, and now I just want to talk about it. I want to talk about the pros, the cons, where I think it measures up as a Souls-like and as its own game. Now if you are just looking for a short answer, is Lies of P good? Yes, very fucking good. It would be a 9 out of 10. It's an A-, because there are some issues I had with it, but nothing that would take away from me pre-ordering it and making sure I'm getting this game the minute it drops. It felt like the developers looked at Souls-like as a genre and picked out from them. Bloodborne, Dark Souls, probably 3 more than the others, and Sekiro. Merged the best of all of these games and then just sprinkled a layer of Pinocchio on top. The weirdness of a Souls-like playing as Pinocchio immediately hooked me as something different. They've done something incredible here. Like, I don't know how else to say it. What I thought was going to be quite a cheap attempt at the love formula turns out instead it is very great, it has its own spin on things, and fuck me, it was just good, it was just great, I just loved every minute of it. And here's why. Come on, come on! Right, he's eliminated. So the first one, let's get this out of the way, the Pinocchio-isms of the game.
What they can't do these days.
I don't really remember Pinocchio, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been quite some time since I watched that classic, and even then I know it's based on an original story, so fuck, there's probably references in here I'm not picking up on. But I can't recall anybody in the game actually referring to our character as Pinocchio. Our creator is still Gubtodi, and we are referenced as, you know, his creation, even his child and his son in some contexts.
I'm an old friend of Geppetto's. His son is like family to me.
But I don't think anyone actually outright just says Pinocchio. We've got a friend that comes with us from the very start of the demo, Gemini. Not Gemini. That lost me for a minute. I looked it up and I couldn't see Gemini anywhere coming up. It just kind of linked back to Gemini the whole time. So they've changed the name there as far as I'm aware. If I'm wrong, let me know. And Gemini does have some dialogue. He will talk to you throughout your journey.
Whew, I think we're done here, pal. Back to the hotel.
But he also plays like the lantern in Elden Ring. I'll be honest, any run through I do in Elden Ring, that's one of the first things I grab, because it just makes everything easier. We open on a blue butterfly, clearly reminiscent of the blue fairy, and that butterfly, going a step further, is the thing that brings us to life. It opens up the start of the game for us. Our goal in the demo, and likely just the start of the game anyway, is save Geppetto, and when we find him, there's a mad donkey wanting revenge on him. And I'll cover this later on, but...
Come out, Geppetto! You've got a lot to answer for!
Is Geppetto in there? Who the fuck are you?
You know what caused the puppet frenzy, don't you?
It's the mad donkey.
You're their maker, practically their father.
The donkey's a reference, but I think that's it. That's all the ones I could find. It is a Souls-like, let's just go straight into combat here. In the demo anyway, and just speaking for that, we open up with the choice of one of 3 weapons. I'm not going to go into specific stats, but all you need to know is you've got one weapon that's balanced, one that's kind of like your standard dex weapons for faster hits but less damage, and then your big boy weapon, slower hits, bigger damage. You with me? It's not too complicated, but you take your pick. This did expand even just within the demo to include a couple more weapons, picked up from characters that you fought, optionally. Oh, fuck yes. I just got a new weapon. And I was going to patch that guy. Well, I say optional, of course you're not wanting to run past this fucking guy every time, but I set out, I wanted to get everything I could out of this demo, took him down, and I was fucking surprised to get a police baton weapon. And this baton came in as a blunt weapon, so of course they're playing with that aspect, where you've got blunt and slash, which enemies are going to be weaker to or stronger against. It is a simple aspect to include, I know, but it does enough to keep the game interesting, make you change up your playstyle. And then the last weapon I got here was like an electric baton. Oh, I like this. It was a heavier hitting police baton, but it did come with some elemental electric damage. Let's see what the backstab's like. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay, okay. This thing hits fucking hard. In the demo alone, we're already getting introduced to a few different dynamics, and that was fucking awesome. So not only have you got variety for your weapon you take, your left arm plays as a gadget, so you've got variety there as well. The game opens up and you've got this kind of strong arm attack, which is just a heavy, blunt punch. Holy shit! That does a lot of damage. It really fucked people up. It was a great thing to open with. And then as the demo went on, you can unlock a couple more. I got the puppet strings. Why is Gubtodi just leaving everything that's due to me to other people? Oh shit, she's giving me a fucking harpoon. Okay. And that worked as like a scorpion grapple where you're pulling people towards yourself, or you can go towards them. Let's try this at a little bit of a closer range. Nice. So in a game where its combat is always very focused on crowd control, having the addition there where you can pick people out even easier was fucking great, and it was a lot of fun to use. These you can't change up through your journey. You do need to pick one kind of at your site of graces, your bonfires. In this case, stargazer points. Okay, the stargazer. Okay. And then that's you kind of committing to it for that run that you're about to do. It's not necessary, but it was a good addition. And not only did the puppet string let you pull people in and you go towards them, I found it had a lot more uses as well. You know, you can use it to pop environmental hazards to get kills without aggroing the enemy. Why is he attacking that? That is an OP way just to use puppet string. So this game really is giving you choice in how you want to play this. It's not quite got stealth mechanics, but you can avoid encounters where possible. Now going a step further with these weapons, let's just keep it simple for a minute. Let's say you've got a weapon and you're leveling up the rapier. As I did. The weapon has two parts. What you level up with your stats, your ergo as it's called in this game, that's your souls, that's your runes, that sort of thing. You can make yourself a bit more strengthy, healthy, dexterity, whatever you would like. And then of course your weapon scales a bit better. But when you're leveling up the weapon, you're actually leveling up the blade of it. Well, there's blunt. So the hitty bit. And your stats will scale the holdy bit. Let's just show you here. Hitty bit, holdy bit. Does that make more sense? With me, I put a lot of my points and my ergo into becoming a dexterity character, but then I wanted to switch it up. I felt the rapier sword wasn't cutting it, so what you can do is disassemble your weapons and then create one yourself. I can put on the holdy bit of my rapier, so I'm still getting the level scaling, but let's just say I want to try out a new weapon, one I've not put my stats into. You can switch out the hitty bit and the holdy bit and then make your own, so your own level scales well, and you've got a leveled up hitty bit of the weapon. You get me? It's a really fucking interesting change and a great system. It doesn't punish players for choosing certain stats. You know in Elden Ring, and I think everybody came across this when they played the game, you're playing through it with one very much playstyle. Probably a bleed boy, that was most of us. It was definitely me. And then when you're finding faith weapons, they're of no use to you whatsoever, so they just clog up your inventory. Here, you can switch them out, so you're not being punished for exploration. Well, not punished, just not rewarded, but in a game like this where you commit time to it, it feels a bit like a punishment. What's even better is that each hitty bit and each holdy bit has its own skill. So not only can you switch it up to benefit your levels and progression, you can find your own playstyle. You know, you want a few quick hits of the rapier, but you want a very interesting parry, you want an extra attack upgrade. You can mix and match the way you want to have your fucking weapon. It's great, and not only is it fantastic, it works well in the game where it's all about puppets, it's about creation. So it just blends. And you can carry two weapons at any time, so you can keep two standard weapons the way they come, you can mix and match and then take two of them out into the world. So if you want your fast weapon and your heavy weapon for situational differences, you do you. You know, some enemies are weaker to others, like I said, you might have slash, you might have blunt. This is the kind of weapon system I love to see. You know what, it is very simple to explain, well I hope it has been anyway, but the possibilities are almost endless. What game developers do sometimes, and it is a shame, they think a good system needs to be overly complicated. It doesn't. You can have a very simple system, but one that just that change, like hitty and holdy handle, means that it opens up so many more options, it opens up variety, and it allows players to mix and match where they go, and it means that you don't need to commit to one leveling stat. You're not going to be halfway through the game, find a new weapon, and be raging that you didn't go a strength boy. Now, you can flip it up, and you can still use half of the weapon at least. Not all of it, the game's not that nice to you. but it's better than most. The game does run a durability system, which is going to, it's a game like this. You kind of expect it in games like this at this point. But what it done differently was it gave you a grindstone item, which has infinite uses, of no cost, to resharpen your blades and make them work again, make them more efficient. Sharpen up the sword. That bit confused me, because if the game's going to punish you for your weapon breaking, I don't understand why it's then so simple to fix. Don't get me wrong, if it's going to break, I'm glad to have a simple fix. But why have either if that's the case? It just takes you out of the game for a moment to sharpen up your blade and then go attack people again. I was stopping at Stargazer points so often that I'd forgotten durability existed until I was the middle of a boss fight. Oh, my sword's almost fucked, that's why. I was wondering why I was doing like no damage to him. The way I see it, if you're going to use the grindstone item and give you the ability to kind of resharpen your blade, make it finite, make it have a cost to it, because then otherwise it just seems like a very pointless addition to the game. We're going to break your weapons, but you can repair them immediately for no cost. It just takes a second out the flow. They shot themselves in the foot a little bit there. So either make it something that's a bit more difficult, you know, the durability lasts longer, but it may cost to repair it, or take out the repairing and take out the grindstone. For a game that's a lot quicker than Souls, like it's more Bloodborne based, it didn't seem necessary. It felt more like they put it in because it's almost an expectation to have it at this point, so they eased us into it with the grindstone. There's no pressure to include this in your game. Take it out. Nobody will mind. I won't. I don't think you will. Durability sucks. Like, if you could only repair them at a Stargazer point, it would encourage the preparation before your travel. And if the grindstone had a cost to use, it would be rewarding your resource management, your selective combat encounters, you know, picking and choosing where you have to fight. It just feels a little forced in. And of course you've got consumables in here. The two I found was being able to apply electricity onto my weapon, and then a throwable consumable kind of firebomb equivalent. Firebomb. Perfect. Firebomb. Save it. Nothing you've not seen before, but it's good that they're here again. Like, it's these little additions I love to see. You do have ones that can increase your damage, increase your resistance, your elemental resistance. Nothing you've not seen before. But then of course you've got your healing items, pots, whatever they are, I do forget. They're like a vial of electricity, I think. Now I started the game with 3, I found a 4th. Okay, so hull cells increase. Ah, so it's going to go in this fashion. Wait. When you reach the maximum, But what I found interesting and a really good fucking touch was, see if you run out, you can refill one through combat. Doing well in fights, keeping the encounters small and selective, you know, being very cautious, will allow you one more heal. Granted, you can't refill to 2, but it does allow you to get one more heal for yourself. And there's a rally system. Now, I never played Bloodborne, I don't have a PlayStation. It sucks I've never played Bloodborne, I hate that fact, but I'm also not going to buy a PlayStation just for one game. Like, I cannot justify that. But even with that, I am aware of what the rally system is, and I love that I get to play it here in Liesofp. Simply put, if you take damage, you don't immediately lose all the health. The game allows you a chance by being aggressive, by getting back in the fight, you can recover some of that temporarily lost health. Chances are you won't get it all back, of course, but you can at least get some of it back, and that's better than nothing. The parry is also simpler. At first it took me a minute to work out if I liked it or not, because I'm used to parrying and that opens somebody up to a critical hit immediately. Not here. Basically, if you get a perfect parry, which is just timing it to a T the way you would in most games, you then just don't take damage. So your two options are to block and take some damage, which you can heal from. Of course you can dodge, or you can go for that parry. It is a risk-reward system through and through. The most risk, the most reward is a perfect parry. You won't take damage, you stay close to the enemy and you can get back into the fight. It turns out I love it. Like, I like that change. It worked a lot. Enemies and bosses also have a rally system, so you can see their health recovering when they're getting back into the fight, so it is something to be conscious of. However, you do have the ability to break an enemy. Doing enough damage can make an enemy groggy, as they call it. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Fatal attack. Face a grog enemy. Yep. I'm facing you. Bullshit. I was facing you. Groggy. Oh shit. Basically, once you see an enemy like this, a heavy attack will mean that they fall down, they are stunned, and you can pop a critical hit off on them. And it's that critical hit that not only does a lot more damage, it also removes what was possibly there as a rally system, and they cannot recover that health again. So the game is very much leaning into fast, aggressive combat, and that is seen in these enemies and these bosses. Which leads me beautifully into enemy design. The enemy designs here were incredible. Like, there's no two ways about it. I fucking loved every encounter. Well, almost all of them, and I'll come on to that. Now, the enemies were similar enough to fit the world design. You know, it's a world where puppets were mass-produced, and that lore is through and through. They were similar enough in the sense that they're all quite humanoid, some bigger, some smaller, some faster, some slower. So you've got a variety there, but they were all still distinct enough that you can see at a distance who you're about to face off against, how they fight, and what kind of strategy to employ. That is key. I don't mind if they look kinda samey, and as long as it makes sense for the world, but being able to at least see what I'm about to face was fucking masterful here. Not right now. Oh my god, I need to go now, don't I? Even their fighting styles varied. You've got swords, candlesticks, spike things that I'm pretty sure were chimney cleaners, but, you know, a bit more vicious looking. Thankfully, those guys are weaker. You've got ranged guys, both with guns and throwing items at you. Holy shit. You've got a headless guy. Fuck it, let's... Oh yeah, I didn't fight this guy last time. He has no head. And you've got fucking dogs. Oh my god. Oh my god, this game. Oh my god, get out of here. Of course you have dogs. They're in every Souls-like title. They're like in almost every game. Here though, they played very similar to dogs from Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring. So if you've played them there, you've played them here as well. Although these ones look like they got the Oblivion DLC armor. Oh shit, I forgot about you. Do you not think they look like the first Oblivion DLC when they brought out armor for horses? So they're not quite dogs, they're like puppet dogs, but yeah, they fuck you up all the same. As for the bosses, they came in on almost each hour as I played my way through this demo, so the pace was amazing, and even them three offered a huge variety in it. You've got the parade leader. He was strong, menacing, and very fast, surprisingly, for his size. Perfect parry again. Like, he had a surprise phase too, which I didn't think was going to go as hard as it did, and that was definitely a difficulty spike for me there. Mate. Oh shit, alright, okay, I didn't realise you had that move to use. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay, that's a big move. He ripped his head off. That is arguably the biggest move someone could make. All round, fucking solid fight. Second up, you had the Mad Donkey, which, walking up to him, didn't think it was going to be a boss.
Come out, Geppetto! You've got a lot to answer for!
Is Geppetto in there? Where the fuck are you?
You know what caused the puppet frenzy, don't you?
It's the Mad Donkey.
You're their maker, practically their father!
So you know the environment, the set piece, didn't tell me I'm about to go into a boss fight on a bridge. Turns out I did. Now, out of the three of them, I would say he pissed me off the most, and then immediately I was more than fine with, because it was all about working out his strategy, what his thing was. You know, the parade leader was definitely a puppet, he was kind of robotic, animated, whereas the Mad Donkey seemed like just a guy. So if he's not just humanoid but an actual human, I'm going to try backstabbing. At least the guy in the back's letting us fight. That's nice. Another one, another one.
Kill you both, then string you up on the bridge!
Perfect. Right into another one. Right into it. And it took a while to realise I could do it, but see, soon as you can see the backstab animation coming up, that's the strategy I ran with, and that is eventually what took him down. Fuck you, donkey. Again, a really good fight. It frustrated the hell out of me, but that was my own eagerness to overcome him and just parry all his attacks and go face to face. I should have went face to back. That's how you beat that guy. And then last up was the Watcher. He was big. He was fast, he was elemental. We're already introduced into elemental damage in the game. You know, it comes in steadily, and really just before this boss, they really hammer it home. You know, the enemies are dropping items that can protect you against the elemental damage. So you can grind and collect a resource to help you in the upcoming boss. Great touch. But this man was quick, he had big AoE attacks. And secondly, what he offered compared to the other two was the ability to summon for the fight. Use a star fragment at the cracks calling. Next to the boss, we're going to summon a Specter. Ah. Also, yeah, fuck it. And you crush it like humanity. I love this so much. Now the summoning here is a little bit different. It works by bringing in a Spectre, instead of having to become human, you know, or embered, maybe a Sight of Grace. Instead, there's a finite source that you're going to collect, and there's these sort of fire pits next to boss fights that you can throw one into, and that will allow you to get a Spectre, who then comes into the boss arena. Oh, there's my Spectre. Oh, okay. When I first done it, I kind of waited around to see them summon beside me. You know, I'm just too used to souls. But as soon as they were in the fight, they can throw down. It was a nice touch. And again, I like that it's a finite source, because it means you're not just going to run in and summon every time. That again is a choice. That is a decision you make of when you're going to summon. Do you hold on to your finite source now, because there might be a more difficult boss later that you'd like more attempts to summon with? And even for me, I felt like this was going to be the final boss, because it was a demo I'd already played for about 3 hours at this point, and it must have been coming to an end. And I had 8 chances to summon. So I wanted to throw a Spectre out the first couple of times. The fight wasn't going amazingly well, let's be honest. Oh my god. He wiped me in half. And then I wanted to give myself just a lot of chances to get used to the combat for a couple of reasons. One, of course, when he aggroes to you, I want to know how to parry and get my timings down. But also, the Spectre dies. And that was inevitable in almost every one of the fights I was in. So if I'm very aware the Spectre is going to die, I want to be used to dealing with that boss on my own. I've seen the Spectre more as a way to help me get into phase 2 rather than carry me through a boss fight. And I think that thought process definitely helped here, because I had Spectres, and I think I still had 1 resource left by the end of the boss, where, had she died, I could have brought her in again. Now let's talk the world design. Fucking hell, this was grim. Like, good but grim world design. This is your gothic, Victorian England kind of steampunk vibes, and just every street corner, every detail is just dripping with atmosphere. What I love in games especially like this, where not only is it fun to fight my way through, but also you can think about how the society used to run. It looks like it's been lived in. It looks like you can see how the place would have operated before everything went to shit. It just so happens that I'm here now when everything is shit, but you get what I mean. You know, it's one thing to make a really good set piece, make a good lane, good enemy placements, but it goes a step further to create a world where you can see it's fucked, but also conceivably see how it operated at one point. The lore again is told here through missable items, dialogue, just set pieces, and the way the world is set out will give you enough context clues to work out what the hell's happened here. There's not many characters just telling you it outright, so it is down to you to piece together. I know some people dislike that way of getting story and getting lore. I personally love it for just a couple of reasons. It keeps the mystery alive, and I think that brings in a bigger community for the game. And the online space is going to be huge with LiesofP. People will talk about it. They'll talk about the story, strategies, combat, but it's piecing the lore together. It seems like the entire community is taking part in the same puzzle, and that alone makes a really good gamer base. And the second reason I love it is to see if characters just gave you exposition all the time. It would feel like any character knew all the history of the world, whereas leaving it as, you know, notes that you find, missable dialogue, maybe people only having half the story, that's more believable, because not everybody's going to know everything. There'll be some things on the other side of town that your characters have no idea what happened. They might have heard rumours, but they don't fucking know. Whereas finding the notes then means that whatever nugget of information they have, you compare it against what you find in that part of town and see if it matches up, and that alone will give you the bigger picture. There were shortcuts through the world, and I felt these were perfectly placed, because there is no better feeling than fighting for what feels like an eternity. You're making your way through, you might have no healing left, and you're considering turning back, and then you just see a ladder off on the edge that you can knock down. and it turns out you're right next to the stargazer point that you were thinking of running back to. That feeling happened a few times in just the demo, and it was phenomenal. That feeds into the sense that this is a livable world. It's not one linear path, it's starting to look back on itself. The encounters I felt were just perfectly placed here in this demo. Nothing really stood out to me or felt like bullshit. You've got sneaky guys around the corners, which you're going to get.
Oh, you dick. Always someone. Always expect somebody.
But then once that happens once, you know where they are. If you do die and you need to take that path again, you know someone's around the corner, so you just either rush them or run on ahead. Again, you can grind your way back to your point. I kind of did that on a lot of occasions, but it's up to you. Again, that's just another choice. There were a few instances where there was a ranged attacker above a few melee people. Just through my exploration, I actually found the ranged guy first, not knowing that there was going to be an ambush kind of set up.
Ah, that's why you want to come this way. Get the ranged guy out of the way. Oh, they're fast. These guys are fast.
I would stumble across the ranged character, take him out, and that made the rest of the fight easier. So again, it just promotes really good exploration of an area. And in a game that's all about hidden lore, strategies, combat, you want that. You want choice. You can go in, take out the melee guys first whilst dodging the rain, or you can make things a bit easier for yourself. Take out the ranged guy, and then move back down for the melees. It was great. It was good. I just loved it. I just love this game. The challenge here rewarded my curiosity, which then just made me want to explore more and then get more reward for it. Does that make sense? So it's a very healthy, positive cycle that this game pushes on you. The demo did have teleportation in it from the get-go. Whether it does in the full game, I'm not sure, granted. It might have just been in the demo for simplicity, but I do feel like it will be in the main game. I don't know how to feel about that. I think having teleportation open to any stargazer point from the start of the game is going to bring down the world design just a little bit. One of the main aspects that made Dark Souls 1 this huge icon that it is was its world design. You did have teleportation in it, but it was halfway through the game, so you've kind of learned a lot of the map already, and even then it was to select bonfires. Compare that to Dark Souls 2 and 3, where teleportation is immediately open. You can see the difference in design. It got a lot more linear. You know, you didn't have to backtrack through locations much more. They were finely tuned and lovely to look at areas, but personally speaking, when I play Dark Souls 2 and 3 again, for however many times it is now, there are areas that I do forget, whereas in Dark Souls 1, you can rhyme off almost the entire map because you're replaying it all in your head. You remember all the shortcuts, all the paths, how to move from one bonfire to the other. So having it here, I do think, although the game has shortcuts to move you around the map a little easier, does bring it down slightly, because I do like the necessary backtracking. You know, where it's done right, where you're moving around an area because you know the best route to go. For a game this gorgeous, you'd think they'd like you to push to move back through the same areas once again. That's all I'm saying. It would be a damn shame to not have to go back down some of these streets, because although it's gritty and horrible, it's fucking lovely. So let's talk side quests and choices. Being the demo, there was only one side quest that I came across, and that was to help a woman find her baby.
Who the fuck's talking? Is that her in that window? You creepy bitch.
Now, when this woman started talking, I wasn't too used to another character, an NPC, out in the world at this point. I wasn't sure that the game was going to have side quests in it, so when she started talking, and she's clearly riddled with something.
Oh, this feels weird.
The petrification disease quarantine zone for most people. This is their last stop.
It was fucking creepy. Like, I loved it, but I also hated it at the same time. Like, it was weird and I wanted it to be done with as fast as possible. But in true Souls fashion, it's a very simple side quest, and although she rambles about her illness and her disease a little bit, what the key bits of information is, she wants her baby back and we know roughly where to get it. And that is all you take. That is all you need. You set off, away you go. So later on the game, I did find a baby.
Please be good.
Oh no.
Oh.
No survivors here. What do we do? Just give her that baby puppet?
It was left in the city garden. Is that the baby?
You take it back to her and you get a reward. But it's when I brought it back to the lady, I was presented with a choice. It seemed like she was unaware that this was a doll instead of like a real baby. And I had the choice to either tell her it was a doll or lie and tell her that it was a real baby.
Is my baby adorable?
You were right.
What?
I wanted to be honest. I wanted to see what would happen, so I told her it was a doll. And she just accused me of being told to lie by somebody else, and I still got rewarded all the same. And similarly, when I got to Hotel Crap, which is like the safe place of this game, you know, you've got your armor smith, your upgrade station, your level up, all of that stuff, which, by the way, Hotel Crap, fucking top notch. Like, I love that as a set design, as an area where you know you're safe. But when you get to the door, you're made aware that puppets aren't allowed, so you can lie or tell the truth. Either say you're a human, say you're a puppet.
I definitely will. Should I lie? Why have they made it a choice?
Puppets are a constant source of trouble.
Nah, I'm gonna say who I am.
The hotel forbids all.
Oh, you have to lie. Okay.
Welcome to
Again, I wanted to be honest. I said I was a puppet, and I was told I wasn't allowed in. All I had to do was re-knock on the door and then just lie. The door had like a few puppets lying around it. I was convinced when I told the truth they would pop up and I'd be in a fight again. You know, some kind of consequence for choosing the wrong option. It turns out neither. So of the 2 points in the game where you had a choice, I tried being honest, and it didn't seem to work. The game didn't force me to lie, it didn't feel like there was a consequence for doing so. Now, you are told that you are the only puppet that can lie, and that's why you're so special.
I see you're here. That means your lies are a rare ability.
I wonder what they do with it, but so far, going 2 for 2 on what we had, the lying / telling the truth decision just didn't quite add up for me. I wanted a bit more from it. I want real consequence for my decisions. It might lock off an optional boss or a side quest or an NPC, but allow me to either tell the truth or lie, which genuinely affects the world. I know it's morbid, but what would be good to see here is someone's died as a result of me telling the truth or lying. The original story is obviously don't lie, whereas the game is now posing it as almost an ability that I have, you know, a superpower to lie. Interesting flip, it's promoting lying. So if you're going to promote that and that's not the message of it, it would be then a good idea to push the message of maybe, is it greater good or personal good? You know, who are you lying for and is it worth it? That's the angle I like to see there. And the very last thing I want to talk about here is bugs and issues I had with the game. So bugs, short and sweet, I'll keep it out the way. I came across one bug, and that was in the final boss fight where I got him groggy. I'm not going to get used to saying that like anytime soon. But when I hit him with my heavy attack and he went into like critical ready mode, I bugged out and I was locked into his arse.
There we go. Oh no, I need to get around the front. I'm blocked in him. This isn't fair. I couldn't do my crit. Oh, the game fucked me.
Like, there's no nicer way to put it. I couldn't move out it, I couldn't jump out of it to then walk around and use the critical. I was kind of bugged out and in it. Don't know what that was all about, but it happened. But that was the only bug that I found. For a demo, fucking well done. Seriously, I was expecting this to potentially be a bit of a buggy mess. It was fantastic. And I'm not naming ragdolling as a bug. That I love. I like it in a Souls game where they just ragdoll. You know, they fall to the ground, but their leg might still get stuck and flap away. I had one guy where his hands just kept going.
Even though he's doing that, like, nothing. My dog does that when she's happy and just having a wee sleep. You know, like a wee pause, just do that, like off the side of the bed. It's cute, just not on a dead puppet.
That's fine. I've personally grown to accept it and it's going to happen. As for issues, throughout all that, I've just raved about the game, so don't think my issue list is me just absolutely shitting on it now. Look how long the video's been so far, let me just take a minute. When I was fighting on the edge of a roof, I was using the rapier and attacking an enemy, and every attack of course advanced me a little bit further, and I eventually fell off their roof as a result of only striking the enemy. I wasn't moving forward. You know, like with the thumbstick.
Oh no, oh no. That is something they need to fix.
I think what Elden Ring done worked perfectly, where they block you being able to fall off an edge that's going to be fatal through an attack only. You can still run off edges and that's on to your carelessness, but in the heat of combat, to now also be considering falling off of an edge is another element I wasn't used to, and I do think it does benefit where you can't fall to your death as a result of just hitting somebody. So another issue I had is, see when I had that baby quest, I was fast traveling back to the woman, I remembered where she was, but when I opened up the locations I can go back to, there was an icon of the doll next to that point.
Ah, yeah, look. And it's saying... Wait, is it that way? Go. I like that it's showing you where to use the item. It does ruin it a little bit for... Like, I had that epiphany, and I was like, ah, it's the baby. Obviously it's a doll, not a real baby. But if you didn't know, and you just looked at your items, like you just looked at teleporting, it would just tell you where to go with everything. I feel like it takes that little aspect away from somebody.
So if you're going to have like secretive side quests in here, well, not secretive, but you know, ones that you kind of have to work out, and you know, when I found that doll, I remembered that's for that woman earlier on. Not secretive, but rewarding to the player, not just in a game item, but rewarding in like solving a puzzle. Because when I found the doll, I then remembered that'll be the baby she was talking about. Shit's a bit weirder than I remember it being, and I need to go back to her. If you have items in the game and you just load up all the locations you can go to and it tells you exactly where to go, it kind of takes the agency out the player just having a think, you know, using the logic, remembering what they've experienced. Instead, it's just going to be fast traveling for the sake of fast traveling, with no real need to remember the world that you've just experienced. It is a small gripe, I know. It was less rewarding. Even though I remembered where to go, just seeing the icon there did bug me a little bit. I've already touched on the grindstone and weapon durability. I think that does need to change. But honestly, that's it for issues. I had a couple there, and some I know I've scattered throughout the video. That is why I think this game is an absolute, you know, A- or A. I don't know which one's better. We didn't have grading systems like that. Basically, it's like a 9.5 out of 10 if you like your numbers. I absolutely loved the game. There's just a few things I would change about it. That being said, I have of course pre-ordering this game, getting it the day it comes out. Like, nothing is swaying me from that, because what I experienced was one of the most top tier Souls-like games you could get. It almost feels like it was created by FromSoft, which is probably the best thing you can say to a Souls-like. I play a lot of them, and you can tell it's by some other company. You know, it just feels off. There's something they've not quite nailed. Whereas here, it didn't feel like a direct copy, but it felt like the combat was perfect. So it's FromSoft there, but they've taken in a new angle. You know the way Sekiro still feels Souls-like, but in reality, it's nothing like Dark Souls. LiesofP does that as well. You would be easily mistaken for thinking that this is another FromSoft title, and that is just to the game's credit. So look, that was everything I encountered and thought about during my run of the LiesofP demo. Have you played it yet? What did you think of it? And let me know if we agree on like the issues or the compliments I've given. If you disagree, also, let me know why. I'd love to have a chat about this game. And to everyone that supported the channel so far, either liking, commenting or subscribing, genuinely, thank you for doing that. Not only does it make my day, but it really does help the channel get pushed out to other people. Even something as simple as a like. So, you're awesome, thank you. And with all that being said and ranted about, thank you so much for watching.